All right, first, we're back. This is not really a podcast, It's like a conversation. It's like we're calling it episodes, a show. We're back on the Day Miami show in Miami. And today I got two very special guests. First time we're doing one host and two guests on the show. First and foremost, Juseff Pubchara, that he runs and owns AMG, Accident Medical Group. A lot of you guys have seen him out there. And, of course, the Miami Heat DJ MDOT. So welcome, guys. We're happy here to have you. We were actually at the Marlins game this weekend, and this is kind of like a long time coming. And we said, you know what, let's chat it up. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, appreciate
we
you
like
having
it.
us.
We stand behind what you're doing.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Like, honestly, not to talk about me, but it's just turned into like the voice, of the city. I mean, I know that's a lot to say, right now, because there's obviously other pages out there, other media channels out there that do well as well, and they're, a good attempt as well. But I feel like we're having like a little, people are liking it, And so it's been pretty interesting.
I got a bone to pick. Let's just start off right off the bat. I've been doing some things in Miami for quite some time. And I was wondering when I was going to get the invite to a day in Miami. Okay, that's my camera, right? I was wondering when I was getting the invite to a day in Miami, as I've been in Miami all my life.
Yes,
and I've been laying down some ground roots in this entertainment field. But I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Long overdue.
Yes. And honestly, bro, he's definitely a good personality. Listen, but to be fair, I did invite you, but I was respecting the Heat's playoff run, and you didn't have time. So I knew, once we were over, I think you were going to come back. The funny thing is here that Juseff, actually, you guys have known each other for a long time. You have a long-standing relationship, and you actually work together and have a professional relationship as well, too. To get right into it, Juseff has done a phenomenal job with Accident Medical Group, and that we're all part of, and it's a big reason of why I've had a lot of guests actually on the podcast. You guys may not know that, but multiple of your guests or your actual friends and people that work for you are actually have been here. So to go right into it, you have done something really interesting, but I want to talk more about the sports marketing side of it. I work with a lot of clients. Not anybody has really taken the route that you've taken, so like kind of why did you decide to go the sports marketing route with like having sponsorship opportunities with a professional team and at the same time layering it with either an athlete or somebody that's associated to the organization?
For sure. That's a great question. So in this industry, I am probably the only one doing the sports marketing aspect, which I think it's super important to differentiate yourself from the competition. There's a million of companies that do what we do, but how are you different? Why is someone going to pick you over all the other 100 that they have there?
Yeah.
So I think sports marketing is a passion of mine. I grew up playing baseball my whole life. So I love all sports, not just, your baseball, your basketball, which we have the partnerships with, but I watch anything. I watch tennis, golf, whatever it is. I'm into it.
And you're a big UFC fan.
I'm a huge UFC fan. I love UFC. I love fighting, martial arts. I love the competitive nature. I think that for me is my favorite part of it. Obviously, besides the camaraderie, I think that's big, but the competition aspect, I no longer play sports, so being able to watch that and being competitive in business, that's true to me. So we decided to do sports marketing because, one, no one's doing it. Two, I'm passionate about it. I think in business, if you're passionate about something, I think it doesn't look like you're working. It becomes
True.
something that, you push more and instead of just being a job. For me, I don't view this as a job, even though people from the outside might see it as one. I view it as something that I love, and I want to help people doing it. So sports was a big thing. And funny thing is that no one in our industry is doing it, so I had never even thought of doing it.
But you know why, though? Because, number one, it's not cheap. No? Let's start with that, why most people don't do it. And number two, you have to have, certain connections and trust, not athletes, MDOT speaks to this, organizations don't just partner with anybody, you could tell us a little about, how they position people that you guys need to be around.
And I've told Juseff this, once he got in with the Marlins, the next step was the Heat.
Yeah.
It was almost inevitable. Of course, the Heat are going to bring you on as a partner because they see what you've done with the Marlins, and they know that you're a company to, you are a legit company that's doing really good
they
things
do your research on
Miami. You. And they for sure did the research, so it was only right that, he
100%. I think the Marlins was a big platform that allowed me to venture out into, the Heat, MDOT, and other influencers as well that feel more comfortable working with me, not just for what I bring to the table, but for who I'm associated and aligned with, which I think brings a lot of value.
100%. Now, before that too, before you did any of that, your first level of partnerships came through comedians, no?
Correct. So I started trying to find something different in the industry because our industry has a specific way of doing their marketing, which I want to do something different. So I started looking at people that have influence in the community that can create brand awareness and at the same time create exposure for the company. So I started with the whole comedic route, which I still do that as well. We have, Mr. Red, Louis, and we have a few people that we worked with in the past. And I started doing that to bring attention. From that, I started looking at another way to bring more eyes to us and build credibility at the same time.
It's huge.
We're in an industry, and there's a lot of industries that lack credibility. I can acknowledge that, and I can identify that, and I can do something about it. I think that's very important when you're working with people to make sure that you avoid what the common questions are about your industry.
Yeah. I mean, if the competition's watching this.
Oh, they're believe me.
just write those notes down.
They've gone back to the drawing board. The minute he got those partnerships and he laid those partnerships down with those sports teams, they went back to the drawing board. Like, how can we do the same thing? And I told them, like, you're a step ahead of everybody. Let me piggyback on that for a second. Like, how does that make you feel walking into a stadium or an arena and you see your signage? Like, I would go, I still get excited when I see my name on flyers.
But I get excited seeing this.
Yeah, like,
it's like on a cup, bro.
This makes me excited, okay?
That's a great question. That's a great question, bro.
Imagine like walking into an arena that's 18,000 plus people, or a stadium that, holds about 40,000, and you see your signage. Like, that's incredible.
It's extremely humbling. I'm extremely appreciative, grateful, something I never take for granted at all. I view it as a blessing to be able to, in a short period of time, in 5 years.
5 years.
That's crazy.
It's surreal. It's surreal, to be honest with you. And, that excites me. But to answer your question, walking in, it's every time I get excited about it. I see like the first time for me, when we did a partnership with the Heat, I was able to bring my dad to the photo shoot and the content shoot that
was awesome
we did.
too. That was awesome.
We had Eddie there. We
awesome.
had, a few of his team members, and it was me. And I was like, I want to share this moment with my dad. My dad's the one who,
coached baskets.
Me. Yeah, he coached me my whole life. I played baseball with him every single day. So for me, making my family proud, that has to be one of my biggest motivations by far. So being able to have the opportunity to do that's number one for me. It doesn't get better than that.
Bro, you know what's crazy? Like, this is not a plug for AMG, like the conversation and stuff we're having. It's just like he's actually done these things, and it's actually really been very interesting. And we've had the ability to come along for the ride, which has actually been more immersive for us. So it's actually like a testament to like what you've been able to create in such a short amount of time, but it's incredible.
5 years,
like crazy,
to do all
crazy,
of that.
crazy.
2 partnerships with 2 pro teams in just 5 years.
Bro. Extremely grateful, and to talk about that, I think you're only as good as your team. So I think that for me, once I started aligning myself with the right people, the right team members, my company has just skyrocketed. Since you helped me tremendously with the marketing and the PR, you've taken my company to another level. You're a big part of my success, and then bringing people like MDOT that have known MDOT, and we'll get into this in a little bit, for a very long time now. But all of that brings, great exposure. And people believe in him.
That's true.
And then he believes in me. So that's portraying that out to the public, which I think is huge.
Bro, which I was going to talk to you about something like that. Like, you're a testament to, like, personal brand, bro. Like, I'm a personal brand guy. This guy goes to another level. Like, he's look at him right now. So with the hat, always, everywhere is AMG.
Got to.
Which I have learned from him. And now I have cups, and these guys got me spending money on this, on coasters and things now.
Nice.
Like, so tell me a little bit about you before, because building a personal brand, like what you've been able to do and how that has gotten you opportunities.
I followed the blueprint from 2 very influential people in my life, and that's DJ IRiE, who's my mentor, and a person like DJ Khaled, who I worked with for a little bit as well. I hate to name drop, but let's go there while we're there. And I saw how important branding was, and I realized that I wanted to emulate the same type of steps that they did in order to get to where they are. Now, early on, I was able to realize that I'm more than just a DJ, or I'm more than just a host. I am a brand. I am a walking brand. So I have to carry myself as a walking brand. So, I'm very conscious of what I do, what I say, who I'm around, so on and so forth. And again, it's by following people like that kind of, laid down the blueprint for me for the most part. And I was able to like, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to follow them. And this is where it's going to take me, from here to there and, separate me from your average DJ in Miami. So I'm going the corporate route. I'm going, these partnerships. That's the route I'm going because I was able to see these other two do that. And again, once I realized that I'm a brand, it was like the light just literally went on. Wow. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm more than a DJ.
How long did it take you to actually understand, okay, like, I see like I have what it takes?
When I first started in the industry, I was pretty confident that I think I had what it took. When I first started, I was working at a law firm. So I was part-time, and this is where, Juseff and I met. He was promoting at a nightclub. I was the MC at a club. And both early on, I was in college, trying to make my way. I was working with a DJ, and I was just being a host, and I was really good at talking on the microphone. Very, very well at talking to the microphone. And then it was, again, it's just that light bulb went off like, all right, well, let's see if I can pursue this. So then I started rearranging like the classes that I'm taking at Miami-Dade. Well, let me start taking these radio and television broadcasting classes, communications,
to learn it,
and see where I can take this. That led me to an internship. And then literally one thing led from another. I went on my first tour, which was with Hulk Hogan's daughter.
That's right. You had told me that. We were at the Marlins, and he told me the story already. Yes. It's a very interesting story for those of you who don't know.
And mind you, here's how crazy.
Wait. Give me your story on your first tour, who you took it with, that you told me the other day.
It was Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan was on the tour. And we left so that was when they lived in Miami. So and this was it was a promo tour. So back then it was called, it was Jingle Ball. And they still have Jingle Ball now, Y100, which is iHeart and stuff like that. So we did a whole East Coast tour, probably a little bit over a month and a half, about 2 months. So we're going from city to city all up the East Coast, and we're doing, just performing one song and so on and so forth. But I'm able to spend time with Hulk Hogan. Yeah. And I grew up as a wrestling fan. So imagine, like, I'm having conversations with, like, my childhood idol.
That's crazy.
For the most part. And he's, very, very cool with me. And I say this to say that, like, after that first tour, I had intentions of going back to the law firm because I didn't know if it was a fluke or anything. I was like, okay, this is great. I made some money that I've never made before because at the law firm, we can be real, I was making $10 an hour at a law firm.
Yeah.
Okay, $10 an hour.
You're making $15,000.
So I go on tour and I make close to 15 for like 2 months. And I'm like, what is this?
You're like, I hope this sticks.
But then, it brought me back down. Formula. Yeah, it brought me back down. And I'm like, okay, well, I hope it sticks. Like, is this, or do I have to go back? Because I had every intention of going back to the law firm, because I'm like, this is great. I got a little cushion in the bank. Now I'm not living check to check per se. I got a little cushion. So let me go back to the firm and figure out, what are the next steps. Bro, I finished that tour. The next day I got called to go out with Jamie Foxx for 5 months. Oof. Now you do the math of from that to, and then it was like, okay, I called the law firm. I'm like, listen, thank you for 7 years, but
it's been nice.
It's been nice. I'm gone, and then I just left from one thing to another, man.
But that's how you met Juseff at the law firm?
No, well, I was working at the law firm when I met him.
Superstar DJ M DOT.
But no one knew that. But no, actually, it was just Superstar M DOT because I wasn't a DJ yet.
That's right.
I was not a DJ yet. I was just a guy on the microphone. So I honed those skills. I learned how to talk on the microphone early on. And then later on, I put the two together, like once I got my internship with
and him saying that he spoke well on the microphone, that's an understatement. He was the best. He was definitely the best. He would hype up the crowd. He was the best. He's had that from the beginning. That's 100%.
I was booked like 2-3 nights a week.
That's heavy too. And that's another thing about you too. That I don't know if it's something recent or not, but you don't drink.
I don't.
You don't drink. That's great. But that's your whole life like that, or like?
No, I tried.
You tried?
Yeah, I tried.
Not that it's good to drink, but you know, you're in the scene all the time. You know, in the DJ scene.
I just don't have a tolerance.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't have a tolerance, and nothing against DJs that drink. But
Yeah,
also,
no.
I've been there's plenty of spots where DJs have been drinking and they let the whole song play out because they're like faded.
Yeah.
Like you're there to perform. Like you're there to have, you know, you're there to make people have a good time. Like not to.
And I think your industry could easily be viewed as fun, but at the end of the day, it's a job too.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So there's a fine line. You want to have fun while you do your job, but you still want to be professional and do your job.
Man, that happens to me all the time at games. Like I have to tell people, come to see me before the game or after the game. Don't come down during the game, please, because it's not like when I'm at a club, you can come and hang out in the booth, and then we can just chop it up for 15 minutes while I'm playing. No, man, like I have a job to do. Like
they forget because you're having so much fun while you do it.
Yeah,
so people perceive it as something else.
Yeah.
Listen, you're obviously a part of a amazing organization, and I think that saying that is like an understatement of what the Heat have done, not only for this community, but how they've always been admired within the basketball world at how they run their organization. Likewise here, how is it like working for an organization that's known for its culture? Like, does the culture go all the way through and bleed through all the employees, or is it just like a team thing?
That's a great question. It is bled through everyone. Like you literally embody the culture once you sign up to work for the Miami Heat organization. And it's, I mean, everyone talks about it and you hear about it in the media and stuff, but to see it firsthand and to see it trickles down. It starts from the top and just trickles down. And you're like, man, this is quite impressive. Like we hold each other, we hold each other accountable. And this goes for my department too, because my department, I land under the marketing department. So we hold each other accountable and the culture is really real, and I've noticed it several times. I just sit back and I'm like, and sometimes I have to pinch myself because if you obviously if you both have been to games, you know where I'm located.
Yeah,
you know who sits right in front of me.
Yeah,
the Don.
Yeah, the Don, bro.
Mr. Pat Riley himself sits right in front of me.
That's huge.
And there's been some times where I play some songs and he's turned around and he's like. And I'm like,
you got him on.
My job here is done.
I'm like, yeah. But the culture is real, man, and it's an organization like no other, man. I'm so fortunate, and I've had so many great experiences.
It's amazing,
and just being, for so long I was a number 2 guy behind IRiE, and then this is going into my 5th year as being the main guy. So I've been there for a while. They've seen my my progression over the years. They trust me. They believe in me just like I believe in the organization. And you see, I'm probably the same way that you're always wearing some type of AMG stuff. I have some kind of Heat stuff on pretty much all the time. And it's my dream job, man. I grew up in Miami, played basketball all my life, was also in band all my life. So to mix music and sports and to do it on a professional level.
Yeah. Could you say starting off, did you ever picture yourself being where you are now with the Heat?
No way. No way possible. I starting off, I thought that it was just for fun, back when we were working together, and then things started to take off, and I'm like, okay, like maybe this is something that I can do, and then I mean I remember it's crazy how, looking back, I went to one Heat game my entire life. I grew up in a single parent household. Okay, not to like play the violin or anything right now, guys. But I grew up in a single-parent household. My mother. I went to one Heat game, and it was probably with like my youth basketball team, and we sat up in the 400 level, like okay, and I still every game I have that in my head that's the one game that my mom could afford to take me to. And it was versus the Bulls, mind you. So I saw Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, my God. That's
great.
amazing.
That's a big one.
Great. Saw Michael Jordan.
That's huge.
However.
That's a good game. Good game. Thanks, Mom.
Absolutely. and I look at it in retrospect like, now I'm walking on the court every single game. Like, and sometimes I have to pinch myself.
Well,
like,
and it goes beyond that. You have personal relationships with the players and stuff. That's super cool, man. Like, I think for people like us that are fans, it's like, you dream of being able to talk to these guys and get to know them.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to know several, retired NBA players hung out with them and actual like current NBA players, and it's funny, it's just regular people.
Regular people.
Like that's the crazy part about it. But I remember seeing them on TV, and I was like, these guys, like kind of like, I don't want to say fanboying, but I respect them, dude. Like they got to the ultimate level.
Yeah, I think they're pretty much all like that. Any celeb athlete, like I felt the same way when I met Hulk Hogan. I mean, this guy was literally my childhood hero. Like I remember,
Likewise.
Bro, I remember I would watch wrestling with my grandfather, and that was a way that we would bond. And we would watch Hulk and Macho Man, Randy Savage, and stuff like that. So when I got a chance to meet him, I was starstruck. But then having the chance to talk to him and having a conversation with him and getting to know him, I was like, man, this guy's one of the coolest people I've ever met in my entire life, man. Like, how are you so cool? And then, like, him introduced me to people like The Big Show and seeing how cool they are. And I'm like, man, like, all these people I grew up watching, and just to realize that they're just like us. Man.
You expect them to be someone different because you idolize them, you're a big fan of them. So when you get to speak to them, you're thinking they're going to be totally different than what they actually are.
Like, it's like eye-opening. Like, okay, these are normal people just like us, man. But they're just,
Well, it's funny because the other day we had Red here, and we threw the clip yesterday, and he was talking about how when he sees people in the streets, he's like, some people you appreciate it, other people like tell you, like they're very obnoxious about things,
Right.
Like, do you feel like that happens to you, like on the streets, like people would recognize you immediately, or?
I get recognized for the most part, but not a lot. If I'm walking through the mall or something, or I'm going to a game or something, I'll be recognized. I'm a people's person, man.
Yeah, you definitely are.
And if I'm recognized, that just lets me know that I'm doing something positive.
Yeah,
like I'm doing something good where people take a liking to me and want to take a picture or just say hi or just dap me up, and that makes me feel good.
Yeah,
let's be real. He's being extremely modest. We were at the Marlins game yesterday.
Everybody knows,
and he couldn't go 2 seconds without being stopped.
Yeah. Well, but you worked for the Marlins too.
But these people don't know that. The people that are at the games don't know that.
Yes,
that was like many, many years ago. So I think that's just a testament to what I've been able to do at the Heat and separate. And a great thing about the Heat is that they allow me to do what I do best. So they play well to my strengths. So they know that, again, we talked about this before, I'm more than just a DJ. I'm very, very comfortable being behind the microphone. Yeah. Very. So I'm comfortable out there hosting I can be in the DJ booth, hyping you up and doing whatever and playing music, or I can be out on the court hosting a contest, or I can do this, or in the stands and hosting a contest, and I feel just as much comfortable doing that as being behind a DJ booth, and they allow me to do that. Yeah, and that just makes my brand grow even more, because now you're not just seeing me in a booth, you're seeing me over in section 124, or you're seeing me on the court hosting this contest, or you're seeing me interview this person, behind the scenes. But I'm very. Are you
allowed to host other events or no?
Yeah,
you could host other events outside of the Heat or anything.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I think going on that, I think that's something that shouldn't be overlooked, because not everyone can do that. Just because someone makes it look easy doesn't mean that that's the norm, right?
It's. Let me tell you, man. Like, I've always been comfortable with that, but I've seen people, like, it's one thing to be in a room behind the microphone, right? That's one thing, which I think is almost kind of harder, because you're just talking to.
But you know what? At the end of the day, I feel like you get used to it. Like, I had a lady call me yesterday. They're coming tomorrow. They're like, we don't like talking to the mic, but I'm very, like, she's very articulate. She understands her subject extremely well. Like, this guy understands his subject, etc. And I'm like, after 30 days or so of you just doing it, it just kind of comes out. Like,
right.
I felt in the beginning, getting in front of a mic and a camera, I thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at my Instagram, my personal Instagram, if you go back to it, I hardly ever even posted. You know, I just kind of like flew and like I went through the flow. I just got into it, and now I'm doing content every day, twice a day. You know, it does, and it's extremely important.
Absolutely.
Like right now, we were talking about it earlier. Like, the blitzing of content that's good, will make a big difference in your growth. Like, you got to really leverage social media. And all of its powers right now.
I think having consistent quality content is key nowadays. Yeah. Because a lot of people just put content out, but it's putting content that's good that people are going to like and people are going to, resonate with.
Yeah. Yeah. And the algorithm right now that's what's engaging with, not even so much more professional as it used to be. Now it's just, if you're authentic and it's like something that I guess usually resonates with people, they're amplifying it more than something like super highly produced.
Which is good.
which is good for everybody.
Right.
You know, because these things are magical.
Yeah.
And I just saw nothing like divert
That
from
access,
like the whole, like now they have a new app, right? That you have an iPad and you can set up 4 cameras like this, right? And it's a production with iPhones. So let's say we all get our 4 iPhones together, boom, boom, boom. You put it here and you have an iPad and the iPad shows all camera. You can switch camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. It's unifying everything. It came out recently. Pretty impressive.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, people don't understand the difficulty behind production, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, it looks easy and stuff like that. Like, some things you can do easily, but it's not, you know, to do something good.
Yeah.
Ask Mr. Producer Ben over there. Yeah. No. Don't forget about it. It's just, when you're good, bro, you're good, bro. You expect to get better, bro. You know, how many times I got to pat you on the back, bro? No, but he's done a phenomenal job. Talk to me a little bit about Juice, AMG, and like why you started it. You know, I know it's been 5 years. And when did you feel like, okay, there's something here where like I think I'm doing something right, you know?
So the reason I started is because I feel in our industry there's a void for information that's given to the people. So a lot of people, when they're involved in an accident, that could be the most traumatic experience they have potentially in their whole life.
Yeah,
right?
it's happened to me.
Bad. To, you know, a lot of people, you know, and we're not in an area where people might drive the best. So it kind of magnifies how many people are involved in no accident. So I wanted to be able to inform, educate the people on what they can do when they're in the most vulnerable situation like an accident. A lot of times, or most of the time, people don't know what they can do, what they can't do. So I wanted to be that voice for the people to be able to help them. And I'm a big believer when you help people and you do well comes back to you. So yeah. I'm a big believer.
That's just the law of the universe, man. That's the way it works. You put out good energy.
Bro, but talking about that for a moment, okay, I actually have an interesting question for you, right? Because you're in the industry, right? And people here drive very bad. And you see videos all the time of accidents. All the time. You see videos every week of crazy accidents. You being in the industry, I know you're surfing on the web, you know, you're on IG and stuff. How do you feel when you see these videos of accidents? Are you like analyzing them or like what's your approach to things like that?
I mean, when I go to different cities and states, I realize how not good of drivers we are here.
Okay.
And it's nothing against, you know, the people. Maybe, you know, they're driving a little bit faster. Maybe there's more traffic on the road too. But in other areas, a little bit more calm, to say the least. So when I'm looking at that, I mean, I view it as an opportunity to be able to educate the people and help the people. You know, I don't ever want anyone to get into an accident.
Of course.
But if they do, I want them to be able to feel like someone has their back.
Yeah, but you see some crazy stuff. Like people driving without tires, you know, just on the rims. You know, you see people going over like the cones in the expressway.
It's Miami.
Yeah, it is Miami.
I mean, we're overpopulated. People are always in a rush. You know, they have somewhere to go, and it's. I mean, is that why our premiums are so high, right?
Yeah,
I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, the amount of traffic. You know, people wanting to go to point A to point B, having responsibilities, you having to be somewhere in a timely manner. I think that adds to stress. That adds to people driving a different way.
No,
there's a lot of variables, I think, that come with it.
Personally, I think it's the phone too, man. Like, people are extremely distracted nowadays, you know, while driving.
That's one of the biggest reasons, if not, is distracted driving. Yeah. You know, we just put something up when most accidents happen due to distracted driving. Now, obviously, the phone is a huge thing. I'm sure we didn't have this 30 years ago when, you know, they're 40 years ago and phones.
You know, you have a kid.
I do.
I have a daughter. And that's my biggest worry because I know that she's going to be driving distracted. Not only that, she's already crashed the car twice driving distracted because I could tell because it's like, you know, some little bumper, little thing that, you know, is a little boom. And I'm like, how'd that happen, baby? No, Bobby, I don't know. I didn't see it. I was like, no, I know you were probably looking at your phone. You hit a little tap and then boom. Yep. That's when the problem happened.
The biggest thing that I would say is that whatever it is, it can wait.
100%. That's what, you know, it's like now she does everything through the Apple Play and stuff like that. But that's when she started driving, I would follow her to see how she's driving. It's one of the scariest things having kids driving in the streets right now.
I got a long ways from that, but oh man, you're giving me anxiety.
Brother, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Anxiety, oh man.
Like, brother, listen, right now, you know, this is good because we just touched something on Father's Day is coming up. But like being a father, especially of a daughter, is probably one of the most nerve-wracking things when they start getting older and stuff like that. It gets to a point that you end up creating a relationship, and you out of trust, you have to like allow them to grow, you know. But that whole like teenager age to like graduating high school, it's, you know, you're worried, and right now it's even worse, you know, with social media and stuff like that. It's bad. Yeah. So not to put you in that position, but you know.
I got some ways, man. I got a 6-year-old, man. Yeah. I thought it was gonna go the other way, like being a daughter, you know, being a father and having a daughter is the best thing. I thought you were saying.
Oh man, it's worrisome. It's like, the best thing in the world.
It's the best thing ever.
It is. There's no doubt about that. But
I was gonna go into my whole spiel about like how it changed me. And,
having kids changes you dramatically.
It does.
You know, dramatically.
It does.
Especially, I had a kid at 18.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, 17. I was 17. You know?
Yeah.
So it changes your perspective of life.
Absolutely.
But they put you through the grinder.
I bet.
Especially a woman, you know,
and
especially a girl.
Like for me, it was in my experience, I've always been work driven. Work came first, second, third, fourth, fifth, you know, above everything else until I had my daughter. Then it put me in perspective. It was like, there's something more important than working, you know. And now that my daughter's a little bit older, now she thinks her dad's the coolest person ever on the planet, which is great.
That's awesome, though.
You know, which is super cool. Like, you should see when she goes to games. I mean, she walks around the arena like she's MDOT.
Yeah.
You know, says hi to everybody and takes pictures and throws up the peace sign.
And how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great because it lets me know that I'm doing something positive. I'm impacting lives, and my daughter can see that early on. At first, excuse me, when she was younger, she was about 3.5, and she would go to games, almost 4. She would wonder why so many people would stop and talk to me or want to take pictures. She's like, Dad, like, why do these people want to take pictures? She didn't understand that, like, you know, to these people, maybe I'm, you know, somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't like to say like a local celebrity or anything like that because I don't.
By far you are already, bro.
No, I'm not. Still have work to do. No, I'm not. But like, she didn't understand why people wanted to stop and take pictures with me until she got a little bit older and stuff. And then she's like, "Oh, well, okay, because you do this, and I see you on the screen all the time." It's like, oh, now it makes sense. So.
No, but you know, you touched on something interesting, and Juseff is very big into charity and helping the community and stuff like that.
I'm with you on that. I mean, I think giving back feels way better than receiving.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many less fortunate, you know, individuals, you know, in the world that don't have the opportunity that a lot of people take for granted. And we don't see the impact that by doing something so small does for them.
All right.
This past weekend, we took 55 kids to the Marlins game.
Yep.
With the city of West Miami. And just to see them, he's sending me videos of how much they had a good time.
That's awesome.
And that's probably might be the only game they go to.
Yeah. Right.
And then that's something that you will remember forever.
Right.
You know, when I was younger and I would go to these events, I would always remember those.
Yep.
You know, so being able to be a small part of impact for these kids to me means the world.
Yeah.
And I also think it's, you know, it's a necessity. The better you do, the more you should give back. Yeah. And pay it forward for the people that paved the way for you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I couldn't be, you know, happier to have at least an opportunity, whether it's a little small opportunity or a big opportunity to give back, and that's something that, you know, hopefully the bigger we become, the more we can impact people. But to me, you know, giving back to everyone is good, but I think the kids, I think that's one of the best. That makes me the happiest. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question related into a little bit more about your marketing and your thought process behind it. A lot of people have seen the growth of influencer marketing. Okay, you have been one of those people who have had the opportunity to execute it, you know, very well and align yourself with, you know, prominent, you know, faces in the community, you know, and they don't just align themselves with anyone, you know. Give somebody the thought process that goes into you, like selecting a partner for your brand. And what that means to you, and then how do you kind of like, you know, bring them on board and negotiate with them a little bit, like open the current behind that process, which a lot of people really don't understand how it works.
Yes, I'm a big believer. You're only as good as your team is. It's all the people that you surround yourself with is what helps elevate the business. So going back to the question that you said about how I decide on what influencer I want to work with, I think having the same, you know, views is important. In views like I want to give back to the community. I want to put out positive content. I don't want to be controversial. I want things that are going to bring positivity and love to the world.
Yeah.
It might sound cliche or whatever it is, but I want people that, want to uplift the people around them and want to make everyone else around them better. So when I look at that, I look at different industries that can create awareness and that have big followings and that I don't have to worry about them. I think that's a big thing.
Huge.
Not having to worry about someone I know that they're going to treat us as a professional job. Yeah. They're going to get, whatever is they need to do done. And a lot of times you look at comedians, DJs, they're always having fun. So you don't view that like if that's a job for them. But the ones who do it the best is the ones that take it as a job.
That's true.
The ones that are, I'm not saying you can't mess around, you can't joke, you can't have fun, but they know in the back of their head that this is a job I got to get done that people are depending on me to do.
Right. All right, now, to stop you there for a second, you then select your influencers or, your partners, but then you went a step further, right? And you commingled them together into creating content. Tell me a little bit about that strategy and how you thought about like bringing them together, and now you're cross-marketing between people, which most people don't do that.
I'm looking at the fit. I think the fit is important. Everyone has their own role. Yeah. So if you can mesh different people that have different roles into a team, I feel they're going to work together, and they work together well. So that's one of the things that I look at is people that will mesh their personalities together. People, I give a lot of creative freedom. Yes. Which I think that's important. That's a big reason I think why. MDOT's my boy, but like a lot of people like working with me because I'm not one of those people that's like, you got to do this, you got to do that. I like it this way. No, I want you to be yourself.
Right.
Yeah. I think
organic is best. You got to be organic.
100%. And I think the public realizes who's being real, who's being fake.
Right.
So, and nothing against the companies that want a specific way. That's fine. But I trust the people I work with, so I feel I can take that foot off the gas there and let them be themselves. Yeah. And I think when we put the content out, it comes out way better.
People love it. It's
we got some content coming out.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
We shot. That was.
Stay tuned.
It's good stuff, bro. It's good
stuff. I made my debut with MDOT. The only person that would have got me.
He's not a camera guy, bro. He's little by little been coming out more and more and more.
We got some good things coming out.
You get hit up all the time by sponsors, right? Do you ever find yourself in a position, which I'm sure you do, of saying no?
I say no quite a few times.
Yeah,
I say no quite a few times. If you look at my page and stuff, there's only been maybe 3 partnerships I've done. And there were I believe in the company. There are companies that I use. So, for example, Brightline. Okay, this is not a plug for Brightline, but I've been on Brightline several
can sponsor
times.
Us, so they want.
Okay. So that made sense, and plus Brightline has a partnership with the Heat, so it made sense for me to align myself with that brand and vice versa, 100%. And for us to work together because, I work for the Heat, but also I take your trains to go up to Fort Lauderdale once a month to go mentor at-risk juveniles. So I'm always on the Brightline, okay? And then the AMG partnership was this one meant a lot more to me because. It's a testament, and I never told him this yet, but you're going to hear it on camera first. It's a testament to my progression over the years as an entertainer, and for him to believe in me, because obviously he's the CEO of the company, and for him to see where I've gone and to see that I've done it the right way, and to be like, okay, we want to partner with that person because he's done it the right way. Let alone set aside we're boys. Forget that because there's a thin line between friendship and business. Yeah, you got to
be careful too.
Yeah, you totally have to be careful with that. Like you can't just put everybody on knowing that they may not fit. They may not be the perfect fit for the company. But when that partnership came about, I was like, I was honored and flattered because that's great. Like I've watched him and grow his company over the last 5 years. And then I saw him, at games and stuff like that. And I was wondering in my head, like...
The same thing you wondered here, huh?
Yeah.
When am I getting that call?
Listen.
When have I not gotten that call, Juice?
Listen, once I saw, the Marlins stuff, and I was like, okay, I saw the other influencers. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get the call. I'm not sure yet,
But the call was organic.
The call was organic, and it just made sense, and I appreciate that.
Bro, you had to wait to get to to the Heat level.
And we appreciate that too. And I think bringing the Heat on board kind of made complete sense.
Yeah.
Now to bring M Dot, which he's my boy, and I look at character first. To me, when you want someone to be part of your team, if someone has a solid character that you can depend on and you can trust it, and to me, he does what he does as a DJ extremely well, but he's an even better person. And I couldn't say that enough. To me, that's probably one of the most important things. Like, if you perform at a high level in your profession, that's important to me. But being a better person out trumps that by 1,000,000%. It's not even close.
I can't imagine, like, you can't be a liability for a company. You cannot.
You cannot.
So,
and that's, you lose money doing that.
right.
You're acting up.
Yeah.
And that happens often.
Yeah.
A lot of people make mistakes, Dude, you touched on something earlier, and that I have met him personally, and I've seen his story, and it was DJ IRiE, right? And DJ IRiE was the first DJ that started amping up arenas and playing music in the whole NBA.
Well, not just NBA. First DJ in sports.
In sports.
Yeah.
So I want you, from your point of view, because it benefited you, obviously, he was a trailblazer. Like, how do you feel about what he's been able to do for DJs that go beyond him, and how he started that, and like, you were there with him, like seeing him grow like this?
It's quite interesting to think about it. Like, you have a trailblazer, a pioneer, and that's you got to give credit to the Miami Heat organization too, because that started with, he was DJing a party, and somebody within the organization saw him, and they're like, man, this guy's great, keeps people engaged, and he's good on the microphone. And then let's put these two together and let's see what happens. And that's how that whole thing came about. But IRiE has been, he's the most influential person in my life, because of not just taking me under his wing, but just showing me the ropes. And I've always said, there are people who it's not necessarily who you know anymore.
Yeah.
It's who you know, and if they're willing to help you out, if they believe in you, and if they're willing to kind of push you forward in the direction in which you want to go. For him to be the first DJ in sports, and we can break it. I owe my career to him. For him to be the first DJ in sports, taking me under his wing. I became the first DJ in baseball. That's how I got the Marlins gig. I was the first DJ in baseball ever.
Wow.
Like, that's big.
Now,
you're in the history books.
So the same thing I do for the Heat now, I was doing at the Marlins. I was hyping up the fans, and I was also hosting as well. But it makes sense because it's in Miami. In Miami, we're about the culture. We're about great food. Yeah. We're about great looking people. And what's the one thing that brings us all together? Music.
Yeah.
So it works out. Now, would you have a baseball team in Milwaukee? I'm sorry. Would you have a DJ as DJing, at the Milwaukee baseball game? Probably not. But it works in Miami.
Yeah, because the people are feeling it.
Right. So, so with that, I did that. And then he's the one that introduced me to Jamie Foxx. So that's how I went on that Jamie Foxx tour. Now, that came about, originally, we were supposed to split the first tour. The first tour happened when the Miami Heat won the championship in 2006. So, like, logistics-wise, it made no sense for him to fly out a couple days, do 2 or 3 shows, and me fly out a couple days, do 8 shows, and him fly out. So I just did the whole first tour by myself. Got a great relationship with Jamie, and then been with him ever since, And also seeing IRiE with the corporate partnerships. Like, IRiE, yes, he was still relevant in the clubs, but he's like, oh, no, I'm going to take it this direction. I'm going to go over here with Target. I'm going to go over here with Verizon.
I saw him at Mansions.
I'm going to go over here with Verizon. I'm going to go over here with Pepsi. I'm going to do this with, Chipotle.
No one was doing that.
No one was doing it. And this was before. Now you see Khaled doing it all over. Khaled is a brand among brands. Yep. But IRiE was doing that before, because Khaled was still doing his radio stuff and producing and working on his album and whatnot. And he's another big influence in my life. But IRiE was the one that was responsible for that. So I took all that, and I'm like, this is the person that I want to be, but I want to do it my own way, so I'm not like copying him.
Yeah.
But this is the direction I want to go in. So now we talked about this the other day. I don't do many nightclubs anymore. That's the industry I started in. Obviously, meeting Juice. But I don't do many anymore because I don't drink, and it's just not for me.
Yeah.
Nothing against that, but I'd rather go the other direction. I'd rather go and play for your corporate party for 2 hours and rock in front of 1,500 people. That's more of my thing now.
Yeah.
Because that's expanding my brand. That's making me, that's putting me in front of 1,500 people that I didn't know that will remember me if they had a good time.
Correct.
And then they can see my logo on my computer, and they'll like, oh, we want to make sure we follow that guy's career and so on and so forth, as opposed to, doing more nightclubs and stuff like that. But yeah, man, IRiE is that guy, man. And then obviously with the Heat connection, taking me under his wing, filling in for him.
But you obviously IRiE went through the championship runs that we had, and you went through the championship runs. Okay, as a fan, how is it going through a championship run for like the organization?
Man, so
is it tense? Is it like
it's very tense. Those so I got the back-to-back rings when we won in 2012 and 2013.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let me explain it to you like this. I've been around quite a few superstars, like big people. LeBron is that guy. Like, he's real, and I love Dwayne to death. But LeBron, there's just an aura about him that everybody wants to gravitate towards him. So when we had those three together, I mean, everything was just amplified times two. So you walk in and you see they're all white and all. It's like you're like, but then you also feel tense because you know that you're under immense amount of pressure to execute. But in the long run, you're like, okay, well, this is we want to be here. We want to be in the finals these 4 years, as opposed to like, going home early for the most part. And I'll tell you, so I did the championship party that we have on the player. We have on the practice court. I did those back-to-back years.
Wow.
How was that?
Bonkers.
Well,
bro, so you're telling me you were there the game that Ray Allen hit that three?
I was there.
No way.
Yeah,
dude.
I was there.
That place was dead silent, no?
No, I mean, it was pretty bad.
It was bad.
And back then, so I redid our playoff games back then. I was doing the outside part, which is the East Plaza. So I was hyping up fans.
To the concerts.
Yeah, I was doing all that before. Like, so during the regular season, we were going back and forth in the games. But when playoffs, he was always there. He made sure his schedule, almost like I'm always there, right? So he was always there for playoffs. I was at the game, obviously, and I just remember the air being, sucked out of the building. Thinking that, man, we had such a great chance to run it back, and man, it just didn't work out in our favor. And you see that miraculous shot, and then knowing you played sports all your life for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Just momentum like that can just change an entire series, because they were like, the Spurs were deflated after that. It was over. There was no way they were going to win Game 7.
It was 100% over, of course.
No way they were going to win Game 7. After that,
Game 7 was away.
Emotionally, you cannot bounce back from that.
Yeah,
you cannot. Like, you're just done. And to be there and be, I know people joke with us now.
People don't know, but that was to get us into overtime. That wasn't even to win. Most people don't remember that.
And like, people joke, the fans were leaving early. Oh, they had the ropes around.
That's what I was going to say.
That was legit. Like, they literally, and I remember watching them circle around with the ropes, and I'm like, and I'm a basketball fan. So I probably almost teared up. I wouldn't doubt it if I teared up.
A lot of emotions.
I probably had tears in my eyes. Like, I just saw this thing just evaporating right in front of my eyes, and then you see a shot like that.
And imagine the players. How do they feel when they see all that happening? Yeah. I mean, that would probably motivate me to another level.
Gosh, but like, so there's one thing I've always been playing basketball my entire life. There's one thing I've always done. So I get to games 2.5, 3 hours early. I like watching players warm up. That's a shot that Ray practiced all the time. Like, watching Ray Allen warm up is probably one of the best warm ups I've seen in my entire life. Just the way that he's able to shoot like full speed. Like, so he would do full court warm ups, he'd run from this corner 3 to the opposite, way on the other side of the court, corner 3, and shoot a shot, and then come back and do the other one and just run it. But imagine the cardio that you have. Like, you have to be in complete shape, and like when you get there, you get your foundation, you get your base, and then to get the shot up. Like, so that he's practiced that. I mean, a million times.
Well, that's why you get the multi-million dollars too.
Absolutely, absolutely,
because of that type of ethic and work, and
that work ethic.
That's training your body, your mind, everything.
And he speaks about that. He practiced that play multiple times in practice of the backpedaling to there. Make sure
he had a drill that he would get off the ground,
backpedal,
and then shoot. Get on the ground, get on. Over and over and over.
I'm telling you.
I played I would watch his kids play at Gulliver, and I would see him there all the time. I never like felt like comfortable going up to him and stuff. I wouldn't want to be weird with him.
Great basketball mind.
Yeah.
To talk to him.
Amazing guy.
Great basketball mind.
And
still coaches.
And a great shooter.
No,
all right, so
shooter.
One of the boys, it was a real pleasure having you both here. All right.
So,
thank you for having us,
guys
brother.
so much.
Appreciate it.
It was amazing getting to a little peel back on both the sports marketing side and obviously the Miami Heat side. To me,
do it.
I'm a huge fan, and I know Juseff is too. Like, when we went towards the tour for the Miami Heat, for his partnership, I felt like a little kid. We literally went everywhere, man.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
And he was draining threes in the practice court.
Yeah.
Nice.
They almost signed him to a G League deal.
He almost got signed.
I got the cardio, bro.
Let's go.
All right, boys. Thank you so much for coming.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
How much was that, Ben?